Hey, my name's Frankie Gonyea. I'm the owner of For You Nutrition, which is an online nutrition coaching business. I'm also the assistant GM at Faster Fitness in Fullerton, California, and you're listening to the Everforward Radio.
And yeah, now actually we were out to dinner last night, and I had like a side of Brussels sprouts option, and I was like, I'm out to dinner with friends. We're going to a comedy show afterwards. This is probably a bad idea. I should not be doing Brussels sprouts.
I gotta leave in the middle of it too. Yeah, I never ate vegetables until I was like 20, in my 20s.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up like meat and potatoes all the time. The only time like my stepmom would cook anything, vegetables would be covered in cheese, whatever it was, but it was always like meat, potatoes, and then I didn't have Brussels sprouts. I'm 29 until I was like 25. First time I ever had them.
I'm pretty sure I had them like once as a kid, and I avoided them like the plague. It was Brussels sprouts and beets for me. I couldn't stand, and now I love them. I can't get them enough.
I still can't do beets. I just started doing fish a few
years
years
really?
ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Went to Cabo with friends. My friends travel like huge groups. There's 30 of us in Cabo, rented a big house.
Yeah, you guys did the same thing in like Thailand, right?
Thailand. Yeah. We've been like 25, 30 deep to the Bahamas. But we go to Cabo and we go to this nice place. And so I was like, tried lobster for the first time, shrimp.
Damn.
So now I call myself the bougie seafood eater because I only eat it from like these fancy places. I'm like, I want the best.
And you make it up for lost time too, right?
I know. That's why every time it's like, I just went to Cabo, same thing.
Yeah.
It's like lobster and then shrimp, steak. But then I come back here and I'm like, nah.
Those are the best places to do it. Yeah. I think if you're going to go all out, it has to make the most sense.
Yeah, definitely too. Yeah. My girlfriend she always says that I don't like seafood, but now I can actually eat it. I'm still not up to sushi yet. I still can't.
Oh, really?
No.
Man.
I want to.
Really good sushi here in LA, I found.
I want to.
Really good.
You know what it is? It's a smell. When I smell, it's a smell of fish that throws me off.
Oh, you're not eating good sushi then. Good sushi shouldn't really have a smell.
Yeah.
It shouldn't at least
I think
smell
it's more
fishy.
mental, the mental aspect of it all. Yep.
Yeah, well, everything's rolling, man. This is yeah, we're live FM and in stereo.
Perfect.
Well, we're not really live.
XM radio.
Yeah, Frankie
Gonyea.
Dang it. God.
Close.
I always try not to ask people in live, see if I can just get it right. But
no, everyone always gets it wrong. It's all good.
Welcome, man. It's been when was Arizona? Like a month ago? Or?
March.
Oh, it was March?
March, yeah. The beginning of March, actually, because my girlfriend's birthday was on the 5th, and it was that weekend because her birthday was on a Tuesday, and then we drove out Wednesday. So it was the beginning of March.
I'm really hesitant now. I told you, like, I'm so bad with like some of my content, particularly YouTube. I filmed a vlog that weekend, and it hasn't even gone live yet. I thought it'd only been like 3 weeks. Oh shit!
Dude, we're already about to have our next one.
Oh,
the next one's in like 4 weeks. It's in a month in San Diego.
I'm a terrible human being. Wow, geez, damn.
I know.
My content sucks. Well, I'm glad I have a guy to help me now at least.
Yeah,
Hopefully it won't happen again.
Exactly.
But what's life been like for you since then? I love going to had that event. It's not a mastermind anymore. It's
the collective.
The collective. There we go. Those events, and then we caught up again briefly at the Idea Fit Expo.
Yeah,
Like anytime I go anywhere for meeting with like-minded people or for work or just being around people doing cool things, I always get like a fire ignited on my ass. And then did that last pretty long for you?
Same. It's always, I feel like you need it as like a fitness professional or someone in this space. Sometimes it's not always rewarding. Yeah. Right. It gets lonely sometimes. And just going to these events, that's why I love that Jason has them every, 3 months, every 90 days, because it just sparks that fire to keep going. Because you get kind of towards that 90-day mark and it kind of that fire starts going a little bit away. It's like you had all your content planned out, right? And then all of a sudden you let life get in the way too. But, it's been good. So ever since I saw you in Arizona, we had our next retreat. That's kind of how we connected. Right
Sunset
there.
Beach, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we had ours in June, and our whole thing was we had our first one in February, and it rained. So we got rain, and we're down at the beach. So we wake up Saturday morning, and it's raining outside in June in California.
June gloom, right? That's what people keep telling me.
So we're like, all right, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? People are showing up soon. Like, we're still going to do the beach workout. Yeah. But it ended up working out, like, perfectly. And you've been to the water tower before.
Oh, yeah,
that place
beautiful.
is
Even in the rain, it's got to be pretty nice,
it's
right?
gorgeous. You get like a 360 view of the beach, and the sun came out. And, every time we do these events, it's hard to expect what's going to happen. Yeah. But, instantly, even myself, like every time I go to these, I kind of undig some stories that I've kind of pushed away, right? Like during this event, like I pulled out, like I didn't even realize I started dieting when I was 8 years old.
Like legit dieting?
Like legit dieting. Because I played football, and in Pop Warner, they have weight limits.
What's that called? Is that Pee-wee?
Pee-wee, yeah. So we had weight limits because you can't have, some of these kids are just, they're monsters at like 10 years old. So they had weight restrictions, but I was always a bigger kid and not fat or anything, but I grew taller first than everybody else. So I was always on the limit, and I was always 5-6 pounds over. So I started dieting at 8. My dad, bless his heart, had no idea what he was doing with me, but he just did what he did. So I legit 8 years old, picture this 8-year-old kid running around the block with trash bags.
Oh, wow. It was like that. Like sweating it out, trying to drop weight.
Creating saunas in my bathroom, doing jumping jacks, like turning hot water, blocking the bottom with a towel, doing jumping. 8 years old.
Well, can I ask, was this your idea? Was this your dad's or like?
So I've always wanted to play football.
Okay.
I mean, since a little kid, my dad always talked about sports, and sports has been like a big part of our family. So he never pressured me into playing football. My brother played football, and so I always wanted to play football. He actually thought I wasn't going to make it because he's like, I was worried about you.
Oh, wow.
And then the first day we
like doing the most, just all these things you're saying.
Yeah. He's literally just like, I was worried about you because I was a little mama's boy, right? I was a little mama's boy growing up. So he was always worried about me. And he said, right when we put pads on and the first time you hit someone, he's like, that fear went right away.
Nice.
But yeah, so
Junior's got something. All right, we're good.
I started dieting then. And what we would do is, this is when we thought fat was bad, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad.
Fat's bad?
Yeah, it's bad. It's terrible. Don't eat fat. Don't go on keto. So he would get like 1 gram of fat bread. I could have 1 slice a day.
Wow,
plain chicken breasts, salads, just things like that. Like it was super basic. Like he didn't know any better. And like low fat dressings for my salad. And I would do that stuff I'd get home from school. I'd have a salad with chicken, a little bit of dressing. And then after I was done, I'd put the trash bags on. I would do 4 laps around our block. And then I'd go and do the sauna workout where I'd create a sauna. 8 years old, I was doing that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
At the retreat, I was like, it's kind of just like I was talking, and it like brought back a memory from when I was a kid doing that. And I did that all 4 years that I played Pop Warner. And then once I got into high school, I was like, yes, no more dieting. I don't have to diet anymore to make weight. And sure enough, I got convinced to do wrestling.
Oh, wow. That's the most dieting sport.
Which the worst. So I played football, just to give you a little intake. I played football at 195 and I wrestled 160s.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So it was my dieting. Speaking more about your story, you kind of uncover things that you pushed away, but realized that, I used to do we're chewing on like Starburst and like spitting just to make weight and things like that. Cause I would have to cut down quick. Football season ends in November and then wrestling season starts right away. And I needed to make weight by January to wrestle like league, CIF, like to qualify for anything. You had to be at your weight class by January. So it's literally November, December, and I needed to be there.
Constant.
Yeah, my diet was, I'd wake up, I wouldn't eat anything in the morning, and then I would go to school all day. After school, I'd have like a bowl of cereal, Frosted Flakes. That was it. I'd have Frosted Flakes.
So good. Like every child ever.
So Frosted Flakes, and then I would go to practice. We'd have like 2-3 hour practices. We'd weight train, and then we'd do practice, and then after practice, I'd come home. Whatever was for dinner, I had half of that, and then I would go to 24-hour fitness. I'd put sweats on, sweaters, beanies, tie it all up, and go on the elliptical for 45 minutes, have 1 bottle of water, and then boom, to bed until I got down to my weight.
Damn.
But it created like the worst relationship with food for me, because there was my senior year, we went to Morro Bay, which is up north in California. Went up there for a wrestling tournament, huge tournament, the worst tournament I think I've ever wrestled. I got 2 and out, right? So I was eliminated the first day. So I just started eating. So again, I wrestled 160s. I weighed in on Monday at 175.
Holy crap.
Like, that's how bad, because I was restricting so much that I would just binge eat all the time. And that happened sort of for 4 years. So I went from Pop Warner dieting right into even worse dieting. Like, wrestlers have the worst diet ever.
I can imagine. I actually, a client of mine for a good part of last year, he was in West Point and was a wrestler, and he was transferring around a couple of different sports, but for the most part, I would just like see, and he would talk about, his weigh-ins and nutrition and like all these things. And that was really my first kind of eyes into the sport of how intensely and quickly you have to manipulate to make weight and stay in this category. And my brother actually wrestled a lot in high school. He was actually really good. Memory serves me. I saw him a couple times. He was JV, but I think he played varsity. They allowed him to kind of scale up, I guess, but he was always so scrawny.
Yeah.
103
pounder, huh?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like both of him and I, but more so him, we've always been kind of like hard gainers, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
He's always been like this slim, have a six pack, but it's only because he has like, he's just like 100 pounds soaking wet anyways. But wrestling, I didn't really think anything of it until I actually was working with someone. Like, by this day, it'd have to be this weight. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? And I know kind of, I'm sure we'll get to it, but I know another part of your story later on was kind of dealing with the opposite and actually gaining a lot of weight, upwards of like 40 pounds or something.
I got back up to like 200.
And hearing you kind of just share the part about your childhood, I think will definitely make sense and will tie in. It sounds like you've been doing some work on that relationship, of why maybe that 40-pound gain happened and negative association to food. And it's really timely for me too, because actually a lot of work, just top of mind things, what I'm listening to and my self-work, really going back to a lot of what was going on in my childhood and very formidable years of literally first memory and what was going on, where was I, how did I feel, what were the people around me feeling, and like, wow, like that makes sense why I kind of associate this thing this way. Do you think that really set the tone for your relationship with food for the rest of your life?
Yeah, 100%.
Was that kind of like the catalyst?
I had a good childhood too, and like, I had a good childhood, good high school experience. I had some dark years in my after high school, but I had a good childhood, and that's why I don't think I ever like put two and two together, because I did have good memories from when I was younger, but 100% that my relationship with, still to this day, I struggle with that relationship with food and not just going binging all the time, because for the longest
can you really describe that relationship?
Yeah,
so a lot of times people say I have a negative association, positive association, but like, what does that look like? What does it feel like for you?
So for me, it's like the way you look. I tied the way you look to like health for the longest time, right? Like, because all the time with growing up Pop Warner, you needed to be a certain weight. You needed to weigh this way. Some of my friends were always super lean, so I associated that with like happiness, right? With being a better athlete, with being a better person. And so I would restrict foods, but then I'd find myself like, as I got older with social media, that I'm dieting and things like that, and I'm on Instagram just looking at food. Like, my whole world is consumed by, all right, when can I have this pizza? When am I going to do this? And then all of a sudden get to the point where I could eat a whole large pizza, whole tub of ice cream, and like no issues, right? After I just put in all this work. So it's kind of trying to think like the best way to describe that feeling. It's hard to, I guess it's hard to describe that, how people feel, but it was always just tied into like my self-worth, like the way I look, right? Or my weight. Like, if I was smaller, I would do, like, if I weighed less, or if I was more athletic, I would get more opportunities and things like that, right? So all the time now, as I get older, I'm associating that with like the food, right? Like, just dieting. Like, I need to diet so I can look this way, so then I can have all these opportunities. When now I'm almost 30 now, and it's getting better, but it's still not there. And I talk to clients all the time, like, man, I'm still screwed up, right? I'm so much better because what I've done is create awareness around that. And that's one of the big things I coach on now is self-awareness and bringing that around. And, like I said, at the retreat, it even brought more clarity, because this last cut that I just did a 4-week cut. I like to do it every, maybe once or twice a year. I'll do a cut now. Nothing crazy. I stay pretty lean all year, but now I realize that's just a byproduct of me doing the things that I need to do to live a healthy, happy life. But this last cut was the easiest one that I've ever done in my life, because I came from such a better place when I started food wise, right? I'd been eating the most amount of food I've ever have, and healthy food, right? Now I'm not binging all the time. I still enjoy myself.
Quantity and quality is finally kind of
quality,
back in harmony there.
Tons of whole food, and having that balance of like, okay, I can have I love waffles, pancakes. I can have that stuff and still be successful. I can have that stuff and still live my healthiest, happiest life. Yeah. And I think I just came.
How did you realize that though? Because that's like it. We can talk about it and it becomes easier after the fact. That's I mean. I know, that's one of the biggest struggle points, pain points I think a lot of people have, is that doesn't make sense to me. How can I enjoy my food? How can I enjoy these things that have been spoon-fed to me, maybe literally, but also as like, hey, this is bad, or if you eat this, you're going to get fat or be unhealthy. How were you actually able to like break that barrier?
I started digging into, the what's your why, right?
Yeah.
What's your why? Like, purpose, right? But now I tie that into my nutrition. Like, what's my why behind the nutrition? Is it because, am I trying to lose weight and be lean because I have more confidence? And when I have more confidence, I feel better. And when I feel better, I'm a better person all around and I can help more people. And so I really dug into like, what's my why with nutrition? And I love training and I love being an athlete still. And once I started shifting from, okay, food and the way I look, just that was it. That's the only relationship I had, was I eat and I'll look this way. But now it was when I eat certain foods and it helps me train the way I like to train. And when I train that way, I feel better. And when I feel better, I'm just a better person, right? So I do this, at the retreat we do, it's finding your nutritional why, right? It's okay, what's your objective?
That's awesome, by the way. That's really cool to hear.
It's like, what's your objective, right? And I have them write it down. Most people on the surface area, I want to lose 40 pounds, right? 30 pounds, whatever it is. Okay. Why do you want to lose 40 pounds? Because I feel better, I look better. Okay, what about achieving that? How is your life going to change if you achieve that goal, right? Yeah. And I always give the example of the person, I want to lose 20 pounds. Why? Because I feel better, I feel more confident. How's it going to change your life? Because when I feel confident, I'm more likely to go out more, I'm a better person to be around. Okay, and then we kind of just bring it down to that, like, okay, confidence is actually what you're looking for, and that if you lose a little bit of weight and when you're working out, you feel better and you're confident, so that your husband notices you or your wife notices you.
You will give yourself permission to go out.
Yes. And I saw a good post. I forgot who posted it earlier, but when it's like you're struggling with like social events, like social eating events, stop focusing on the eating and start focusing on the social. Right?
That'd be nice.
Right?
That'd be amazing if people could do that.
And I think the hardest part for me was finding that balance, because all the time it was like, oh no, this is my cheat meal. Like this is it. And like, that's all. Yeah, and I didn't really enjoy the company and the people around me. Now I'm kind of more laid back about it. Like, I still love food. I call myself a foodie all the time. Big time. I love burgers, pizza, all that stuff. Right? But I also enjoy the company around me so much more. It's not like so much like, no, give me my food, let me eat this, and then I'll talk to you after. It's more of a social thing for me now too. And that's helped create some more freedom around it too. But my why always ties back into that. I love training and I love feeling like an athlete, because I felt my best when I was an athlete, right? And so it took me a while to associate like, oh, I want to feel like that again, right? But when I eat a certain way and when I'm training, when I'm sleeping a certain way, I start to feel that way. That's what got me into like obstacle course racing. Oh, cool. And things like that. Doing OCR, I felt like an athlete again. I felt like who I was. I had this association when I was younger of, I think we talked about a little, same thing with you. You have this association of who you are, and then something drastic happens and it gets pulled away and you lose that sense of you for a while, right?
Sense of identity is typically tied to like an event or a feeling. Yeah. And then when that event or feeling changes, like, what about my identity?
And I had to evolve that idea. And I think just you're always evolving who you are, but you should have that core of like what you want to be and who you want, like how you want to portray yourself to people and things like that. And I think when people get off when I stopped associating like, oh, people only respect me if I look a certain way.
Yeah.
People will like me better if I'm the one with abs and things like that. That's not really true. Like people like me for who I am, you know, like when I'm joking around, I'm being funny, when I'm actually let loose a little bit. I have friends, you know, they always call it, they're always like, all right, are you on the party fit diet right now? And I'm like, I'm on the party fit diet right now. Like, I'm not like super worried about it. Like before I used to beat myself up with exercise, and that led me down to a different road too. Like right after high school, when I got out of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My parents never really pushed college. They didn't graduate college, anything. My brothers didn't go to college, and I didn't know. And I played football, so I played at the junior college. I got hurt, and I didn't know what to do. I took like minimal credits, right? And then I got into smoking weed, and then it was smoking weed every day. And then it was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to play football anymore. But then like smoking weed got me into doing other drugs, right? I was always chasing a high now and then I realized I was starting to get depressed. Like I was to the point, it got so bad to the point where I didn't even look at myself in the mirror for almost over 6 months. Damn. I still remember that day, like just staring at myself, because what I would do is make sure the shower was on high enough to fog the mirror. So when I got out of the shower, I didn't have to look at myself. I didn't have any mirrors in my room. When I went to the bathroom, public places, I just put my head down to wash my hands. I would just look at my hands and things like that. So for 6 months, I didn't even look at who I was, and I was chasing, like going to raves and things like that, lying to my parents. Yeah, I stopped working out. Like it's the first time. So I started working out when I was like 13. My dad brought me into the gym, and this was the first time. So this was like 19, 20 years old. First time I ever stopped working out in my life, and that too. Plus, it was like smoking weed every day, going to raves on the weekend, and that was like when I felt happiest, right? Yeah. I felt connected to people, and I understand why people go to raves and things like that. You feel connected to all these people, but then when you come down from that, it was the same sadness that I was feeling. And I still remember till this day, got out of the shower, I was still living with my parents, and I looked at myself for the first time and I started crying. And I remember I didn't know who that person was anymore. Like I didn't know who I was looking at, which was weird to me, because in high school I was popular. I played 3 sports. I had a ton of friends, and now all of a sudden I felt like the loneliest. Like I felt like I didn't have anyone, and I was afraid to talk to my parents. I was afraid to talk to friends. You know, it got so bad to the point where like there was one time I just did OxyContin for the first time in my car by myself. Like that's how low it was getting. I was trying pills and things like that.
Just to feel something different?
Just to not feel that way.
Yeah.
Right? Like Norcos, things like that. I remember looking at myself and just crying and that was the day right there. I still remember I told myself like, all right, enough's enough. Like we can't feel like this anymore. Like we need to, let's just get back into working out. Yeah. And I remember going to the gym. That was the first time I ever felt like awkward going to the gym. And it just felt after years and years of always going to the same place, just felt weird and out of it. And it just started with like 2 times a week, right? Committed to 2 times a week. First time I went, and this was almost second year in college. First time I went to a counselor to talk to a counselor about it. Up to this point,
was that your idea, or how did that come about?
Because I had friends, like close friends, who like they were on their way to get out in like a year from junior college and transfer to other universities, and I was so far away from that, and I was just like, man, if I keep going down this path, I'm gonna be by myself, right? They're moving on to bigger and better things, and I'm sitting here doing nothing. So
I think right there, like, not to cut off your story, like I think it's a really important part for someone to hear and to hone in on, because that is the defining moment where people will stay the same or do what you decided and do something, anything about it. I think that is where people, they don't realize they're making a decision.
Yeah.
When they look at themselves and they look at people around them and they decide to kind of put on their pity hat, right? And they're, well, this person's succeeding more. They're in college. They're transferring. They're getting this job. They're moving. They're going somewhere. And then look at me, like, you know, and you just begin to just like, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. But I mean, that's a choice.
Yeah.
The other choice is to not accept that and progress and move on. So can you kind of walk through, because it sounds like you had we're beginning to instill a great sense of awareness. And I know that's something you instill with the people that you work with and everything in your content. But someone listening right now, like let's say they're at that moment and it's looking around and it's, why am I not succeeding? Woe is me kind of thing. How would you walk them through? What did you do to kind of walk through to decide to go to the positive way or to make a positive change?
It was just like taking, and this is what I coach people on too. And, you know, they always want the big sexy thing, but it's like, I just decided to go to the gym twice a week. I made that was it. That was the commitment I made to myself. All right, I'm going to start working out 2 times a week. And then it was, all right, I need to go see a counselor. Like I need to get on a plan to get out of here. Because everyone in my family, no one graduated college. I wanted to be that first person to graduate college too. So it's like, okay, it was awkward for me. Even sitting in the counselor's office, I felt weird. I feel weird asking for help at this point, like in my life. I grew up like my dad, macho man, you know, guys, no feelings really type of, that's kind of how I grew up. It was like sports, you know, that kind of mentality with me. So I always felt awkward asking for help. Right. And it was literally those were the only things I told myself that day when I looked at myself in the mirror, like, we're going to go to the gym twice a week and I'm going to go see a counselor. Right. Saw the counselor, got on a plan to get out of college. And they're like, oh, you're going to have to stay here for 3 years. And I had taken classes that
Was it still junior college?
Yeah.
Or okay.
And I had taken classes that I shouldn't have even taken because I just didn't care at that point. I mean, I was getting
just
high.
Going through the motions.
I was getting
probably,
high before every class. Like, I was going to classes high all the time. And then it was just 2 times a week in the gym. And then after like a little bit, and then all of a sudden it was like 3 times. Right. And then all of a sudden it was like 4 times. And then all of a sudden I was back in the groove of things. A year after that moment, I was working out 5 times a week. And then I had another like turning point in my life right there was I needed to decide. I had certain friends that we no longer were like connected the way we were before. Right. Our friendship was built on, you know, partying and things like that. And
that season of your life and their life.
And I saw them going down a path I didn't want to be associated with anymore. And I remember best friend of mine, we had been friends since 8th grade. And I had to make that choice of leaving him behind because it's the type of person he was and I could see who he was and I always ignored it. And I had to make that choice to leave like one of my best friends behind. And it was one of the scariest moments in my life because I remember like, what am I going to do? Like, this is my best friend. And I had to like cut ties off with him. And I ended up cutting ties off with him. It just so happens right after I did that, Ivan, who owns the gym that I work at, we hadn't talked in years, randomly messaged me on Facebook. Hey, I'm opening up a gym. Like, I know like you got your personal training certification. Would you be interested? Like, I'm not even joking, like a week after I ended this friendship, like got this message. I remember sitting there just like, I didn't respond back for like a few days. And then I was like,
Am I being punked? What's going on?
Yeah. I was like, sure.
Isn't it amazing what happens when you make space for things like that?
Yeah. And I'm noticing that as I keep getting older and older too, that, you know, I tied my self-worth and who I was with having a lot of friends and playing sports and things like that too. And going through all that, you know, I realized right away that, you know, less friends is probably better, right? I still have a lot of friends, but
especially at this point in our life, my wife and I talk about this all the time. We meet new people, which I love. Mm-hmm. If it's going places, I'm like, do I have time? Do I have room for new friends? Like, I've got like 3 to 5 really good ones right now. Yeah. Like, it's making friends as an adult is this whole other wild process.
Yeah, man. It's awkward sometimes too. You're like, do you want to hang out? You want to hang out?
Like, should we exchange numbers? Yeah. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I can relate to that so well, man. As you were telling that story, I was just going back in my junior high periods in my childhood, and I'm sure everyone can relate. We've all gone through those awkward teen years, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe listening, watching right now, you are. Who knows? And it just kind of hit me. I think why it's so easy for us to latch on to kind of like the mob mentality or these people who maybe are doing the quote wrong thing, going down the wrong path, whatever. Because sure, like it's more fun, it's kind of appealing, you know, dangerous, whatever is the attraction point there. But when that moment happens, when like you were talking about, you were kind of evaluating your relationship to this person, and I'm sure other people, like why are we friends? Like, why am I allowing myself to do this? You know, if I want to improve myself, if this person really is my friend, are they also in alignment with that kind of thing? And where I'm going with this is, I think these people come in and out of our life. We have these seasons of our life, and those people are there because we have not yet figured out who we are.
Yeah.
And so if we don't know who we are, or if we have a huge question mark around our identity and our values and our belief system, well, what's the next obvious choice? We're just going to latch on to somebody else because, you know, like, I don't need to work. I don't need to think, hey, I'll be your dog kind of thing, you know? Like, I'll latch on to your belief system and your actions.
It's easier to hide.
Yeah.
It's easier to hide than to be who you're supposed to be.
So true, man.
And so many people, you know, not that I'm where I think I should be, but I'm definitely, like, I always tell myself, I may not be where this person is, or I may not be where I know I'm going to be, but I know I'm going to get there. I always have that mindset now, no matter what it is. And it might be from my dad, never seeing him stress about, like, big situations, but I don't stress about certain things the way other people do. And I always just know I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get to where I want to go. And you don't even, if someone's going through this right now, you may not even realize that you've made certain choices to help get you out of there. That's why reflection is such a big thing. And, you know, sharing your story. And like I said, that's how it even started with.
Share it with yourself.
Yeah. And
journal it, write it out.
And I'm starting to share my story more and more. And I keep unlocking little nuggets from things. And then you realize, like, holy crap, like, all these things kind of shape the way. And when I made that choice, it was kind of just a choice, like, I don't want to be friends with this person. Like, they're not a good person, not realizing what it was going to do and how it was going to change my life. Because from that point on, everything changed for me. I got into, like, with Ivan, I remember I didn't know what self-development was at this point. Yeah. Right. And he's younger than me too. So
self-help. What do you mean I need help?
Yeah. Have you seen these biceps yet? I don't need help.
I don't need help, bro.
I could bench 225 all day.
You need help.
So, you know, I walk in. I remember, like, at that point, everything was changing. I walk in. He's like, I have this gym, right? And our gym in Fullerton is 2,000 square feet. I'm coming from 24-hour fitness, huge gyms. Yeah. So he tells me, and I, like, pull up to this parking lot. And I'm like, is this the right place? Like, this can't be the gym. And I walk in, and it's a small room, and he's standing there, and there's literally nothing on the walls. The tiles are ripped off the ceiling. They just knocked down. It was an Enterprise before. They just knocked. Yeah, it was in the middle of a demo, and he's standing in the middle. So how old was I at this point? I was 22, 23. I was 22. I was about to turn 23, and Ivan wasn't even 21 yet, 20 years old. And I sat there, and he's like telling me, he's like, all right, so this is what's going to happen. He's like, you know, I want to build this place. He's like, I'm at this other gym renting space. He's like, I don't like how they do it there. It doesn't feel like a community to me. That was the first time I heard, like, community with a gym, right? Because, again, 24-hour fitness, that's not really a community. Yeah. And he talks about community. He's like, we're going to transform lives in here. We're going to make this a community. We're going to change people's lives. This is going to be a place where people come as their second home. He's explaining it to me, and I'm just like, I'm just, like, shaking my head, like, blown away by, like, everything he's saying. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. Like, just, yeah, I didn't even think I processed it. I just said yes, right? Scared. I remember I had never coached anyone. I just had a personal training certification at this time because I loved fitness, and I just did it.
That's everybody's first step, I think, in this industry.
I just did it.
Let me go to my weekend workshop, get my cert.
It happened because I was in my last semester at junior college. I only had 2 classes, so I wasn't going to school that much. I was like, hey, I need to fill up some time. And I was like, one of the girls that I knew was like, oh, you should do, like, personal training. Like, you work out all the time. Oh, sure. That sounds like a great idea. Everyone's going to want to train with me too, right? Everyone's thought process.
I just walk in, sign up.
People are going to want to sign up right away. So I got my personal training certification, and then I said yes to him. The place was still under demo. He was still at the other place, and he's like, come shadow me. You know. So I go and I shadow him first class, kind of just seeing what he's doing. And he was just like, oh, crap. Because Friday, he's like, I'm going to be on this TV show. And he's like, oh, crap. He's like, oh, Frankie's going to cover the class for you. And I remember sitting there, like, he called me out in front of, like, 10 people.
Frankie's doing what?
And I was just like, I never taught a class before. Never did anything. And he just, like, so I said yes because I was like, they're all looking at me. I have to say yes. I'm not going to say no. Yeah. So I literally went home. This was a Wednesday. Go home Thursday. I typed everything out that we were doing, literally from warm up, how long the warm up would be. Each
inhale, exhale, push up.
Every step, I remember had
eccentric,
every step.
concentric, inhale, exhale.
Every step. And I remember sending to him, he's like, yeah, that's fine. And I remember going up there and I had the paper next to me. Like,
oh, wow.
I was the first class I ever taught.
Group fitness, group exercise?
It's a group class. Yeah. So there's probably like 12 people in the class. And then the week later we moved into the building. And when we moved into the building, like we had like nothing in there. I think we had like one set of 45 like plates, 45-pound plates, one barbell. Our dumbbells only went up to 30 pounds. Like we just had enough to get started, and we only had 30 people. I had no clients. He only had like $100 left in the bank at that point from buying everything.
Sounds like the proper startup.
Yeah, it sounds exactly what you want to do. And I remember we got, and so we opened January, and then February comes around and he's like, oh, do you want to go to this one-day Perform Better event? And I was like, what's Perform Better? And he's like, it's like a workshop. Yeah. He's like, one of my favorite speakers is going to be there, Todd Durkin, right? Still, again, don't know what self-development is. First time I ever heard Todd speak was at Perform Better here in LA, and blown away. Just blown away. It lit a fire under me, like, yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And then from there, funny thing is, so some of the clients at the gym told Ivan, they're like, hey, he's a little quiet, like he doesn't talk loud. And if some of my clients are listening to it now, which I'm sure they will, they laugh about it now, because now they can't get me to shut up. Yeah. I'm on like megaphones, barking at people, yelling at people.
Just need that little push.
But that first time of self-development was right there. And then from there, I think that was in February. In October, we went to Todd's 3.5-day mentorship. And again, is blown. I had never written out like my goals for life. Like I had never wrote my big 5 for life. That was the first time I ever did that. He had us do our creed statement and our tombstone statement. Like what is it going to say on your tombstone? What are people going to say about you when you die? And then you had to write a letter to like your future family, whoever it was, and explaining like your life. Right? It was the first time I ever, and at this point I'm 23 years old, still in college, never heard about it. And like from that point on, I was just like consumed with that mindset. And that was another shift, right, from it. And it all goes back to, if I didn't make that choice to leave certain relationships and say yes to something that was scary, because I had no idea like where this was going to lead me, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I have no idea where I would be at today. I might not even be in the fitness industry if it wasn't. But, it's sometimes you don't realize that choice, what it's going to do. And always the scary ones are the ones that are going to propel you to the right direction.
I had this conversation with my wife yesterday. We're talking about an aspect of my coaching business. And she made the point of like, well, why are you trying to make fetch happen? Like why are you struggling so much with this decision when this isn't really an area that you do anymore? But the point she made was, well, it's not maybe what you do more so now, but that was what you focus on, and that was the thing you had to do in order to put you in a position to put you on the path, to be doing all these other things that has led to where you really want to show up and where you are the most passionate about. I think that people underestimate that a lot. It's a quote from The One Thing, and it's either a quote, I'm going to mess this up, or it's the opposite. I kind of think both is true, this statement. A lot of times people are succeeding so slowly, they feel like they're failing.
I feel like that sometimes still. I
think actually The One Thing, if you don't have that book, get it. I love, anybody listening, they hear me talk about it all the time, just like productivity, time management's amazing. I think actually they talk about how sometimes you're failing so slowly you think you're succeeding, just because like you think you're doing one little thing and it's like stacking the conditions in your favor when maybe it's not. But I actually think more of the opposite is true. Like I said, sometimes you're succeeding so slowly you think you're failing, but no, you have to show up in little ways in so many different areas of your life. Yeah, I think that's such a great point. The underlying theme I heard there was how people, natural tendency, I think 9 out of 10 people, I want to do something with my life. That usually just quickly translates into I need to get in better shape, right? And I'm going to start running, start going to the gym, and we equate being better, moving along in life, to just looking better.
Yeah.
But that's never it.
No.
It's someone yourself who's gone through that transformation, and now that's what you do for a living. And I'm right there with you. I'm curious, how have you kind of seen that in some of, let's say, some of your star clients, or just people who walk into your doors or sign up for your fitness and nutrition coaching, thinking that's the
what
path to happiness? Yeah. And then they realize maybe like a week, a year later, like, wait a minute. No, this has really nothing to do with that identity I'm seeking.
I think the hardest part for clients and like as fitness professionals is no one wants to buy, oh, I'm going to sell you confidence, right? No one wants to, like this person told me they're going to help me lose 20 pounds. Like, can you do that for me? Right. So it's almost like we have to like, okay, right. Almost lie to them in the sense.
I'll play your game.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I'm going to play your game right now.
Yeah.
But once I get you in my house, we're going to change the way you think about all this too. And the hardest part too is sometimes it doesn't click for people right away. They think that, oh yeah, I'm starting at the gym. I'm eating better. I'm going to lose all this weight. I've had clients that have been with me for 2-3 years, lost no weight, and then all of a sudden it just clicked for them, and now they're losing weight, right? Some people are fast. I've had people that have lose just right in the beginning, just boom, catapult into it, right? They're outliers for the most part. And then I have people, like I had a girl, she was with us for about 1.5 years, came to me. We started working on her nutrition. 14 months later, she's down 40 pounds.
Wow.
Right? And just her goal was she wanted to lose weight, obviously, but it was more in the sense of she wanted to be more active with her family. Right. And that was it. And that's always it comes down to. And it's hard sometimes.
It's like Jason always says, the why beneath the why.
And it's hard sometimes. Yeah. And that's why we created the retreats, because, Ivan talks about, he's like, no one wants to buy life coaching.
Yeah.
Not unless you're in personal development, you've done it long enough. Like I invest in coaching and things like that because I know the value of it. But for, Mary walking into the gym, she doesn't realize any of that stuff. She's never spent, time working, writing out what she wants out of her life, how she wants, and how that can affect her family and things like that. And that's why we created the retreats, to get people in an environment where we have 2 days with them to really dig down. And this last retreat, the whole room, none of them had ever spent more than an hour just working on themselves. Right. And that's the point where we can really peel back. And that's why it takes a little bit longer with clients, because you don't see them every day, and you're kind of just drop nuggets in there, like in their head, like, all right, like let's just get you eating better, right? And then they start eating better, and maybe they feel better when they work out, and then all of a sudden they come to you, oh my God, guess what I did? I went rollerblading this weekend, right? Oh, it was so much fun. And you see like this joy on their face, and you're kind of like, yeah, it's not really the fitness, right? Like
it's never the fitness.
It's never the fitness.
Most people,
fitness makes us feel better, right? Eating healthier makes us feel better, but actually going out and doing certain things that we love to do, that's what really makes us thrive, right? And I always say, me and my girlfriend bought rollerblades this year, and she lives down at the beach, and I swear I have so much fun rollerblading down the boardwalk because it brings me back to
that's a hell of a workout too.
I'll wear my heart rate monitor for it, and we go rollerblading, bring my dog, playing music, going down the boardwalk. It reminds me of being a kid again, right? I think too, adults, right? You get older, it's like, I need to lose weight, right? That's always their first thing. I need to lose weight, and then it's, I need to do this, but it's like, that's why we try to plan stuff at like the gym. We'll do certain things that they haven't done since they were a kid, like play dodgeball.
That's right? Awesome.
So we had a beach workout, and we played dodgeball, and I have never seen so many, people smiling, laughing. No one was sitting there talking about how much weight they lost or how much weight they didn't lose. They weren't talking about eating healthy. No, they were just smiling and having fun. And after that workout, I had so many texts. That was great. That was awesome.
We've forgotten as adults, I think most of us, how to play and how important it is. I mean, it sounds like quite similar childhoods, and I think kids these days don't quite get the same childhood we had, but how amazing was it just to like, all right, when I'm done with school or during the summer, I'm outside all damn day. And I'm not coming back in until the sun goes down, and not even then sometimes. But we've gotten how to play. And that's awesome to hear businesses whose focus is fitness, nutrition, like that's the business, but you're incorporating all these other things because it is all of these other things. It's never just the fitness. It's never just the nutrition. It's never the weight loss. It's all these other things. And a book on actually my list right now on Audible, like I think I'm in like 2 books away, is, have you heard of The Body Keeps Score? The Body Keeps the Score?
Yeah.
And and again, I haven't read it, so I'm probably butchering, but what I understand about it is how we can go through all of these changes, right? We can try to fitness, we can try to eat healthier, but you're going to get to a certain point where the body remembers things more than you're going to let on.
Yeah.
And I won't go into all the details, but this always reminds me of this client I had in my last practice, and basically working together for like a year or 2, and for the first time ever got her below 300 pounds.
Oh wow.
But it was right at that mark, like 298, something like that. It just stopped, like flat out. And then she stopped showing up. She, missed multiple check-ins, and it was like one-on-one in a group situation. And then she just got really, really honest with me. And basically, her body would not let her. Once it got to that point, it was just like a setback because this horrible trauma happened to her family around her and her mom and her sister. And it didn't happen to her because she was a much bigger person. And so like the body is just like, no, like if you ever get small again, you are unsafe, you will get hurt. And we're not going to allow it. And then it was only until she really got honest, and then she then went on, got this, mental health more so, out of my scope of practice, that she was able to finally get adherent again.
Wow.
I mean, that's everything we're talking about. I mean, people like your clients are having so much fun because they don't realize, of course, as an adult I'm having fun, but no, like your body keeps score, as a child, all these things that were happy moments. I mean, once you allow your body to get back into that space, like it wants to be in that space, the good and the not so good. That's what I'm saying. So we need to recognize both of these because if you can get back to a good space, that's awesome. But be aware of, why not? Maybe why is something negative?
That's crazy that happened with her.
It was
insane. I mean, I feel like it's like someone too, like couples who are trying to have kids, and they're trying so hard that they can't have kids when they stop trying and just enjoy each other. Whether it's going on vacation and they're able to have the kids. But we always I'll do especially summertime now. I'll just show up on a Friday, teach a class. I'll have 100 water balloons out back, and we'll go and we'll start a water balloon toss, and then it always turns into me throwing water balloons at everyone, and everyone coming at me. We'll do like that, randomly. I'll be at the store, see water balloons. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be fun. Yeah. I'm a kid. I've realized that no matter how old I get. And I think it's more guys than girls. Yeah. We're kids. We're little kids. I've hung around one of our
I'm still 13 in my head.
Yeah. I've hung around one of our other coaches, her husband. And we always just joke around about little boy stuff that you would do. And it's always funny. And I always love hanging out with him because all we ever do is laugh. And I always, we always tell people smile more because it adds to your face value. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And just getting people to smile. And it's funny. As soon as you take people out of all right, weight training, cardio, eat this, eat that, and they're just doing, oh man, it's a different story. Some of our best times at the gym are not working out. Our Christmas party that we throw every year, we have a full bar. I have a big Christmas spirit. All right.
I love it. Yeah.
I go crazy for Christmas. Everyone who knows me knows what's up. I decorate the whole gym. We're talking lights.
I wish I would have met you last year. My wife, we stayed here for Christmas. We went to Universal Studios actually. Okay.
This year you're invited to our Christmas party. All right. You guys are coming to our Christmas party. I string lights across the whole gym. I bring all my inflatables from my house. We inflate them. I have a 10.5-foot archway that goes in the front of the gym. Oh, wow. Inflatable Santa Claus, all these different things. We have a DJ playing. I swear to God. And we had a new coach, Samantha. She's been with us for a year, and she is the same way. And me and her always joke around about Christmas, but that's some of the best memories I have. We have the DJ playing. We have food catered. Nobody's talking about weight loss. Nobody's talking about bodies, lifting weights. Everyone's just having a good time, and everyone always is meh. And you know what? I think that's why we have the community we have, because we do things like that. We have these Christmas parties. Me as a coach, I become more vulnerable to my clients, and they see that yeah, I still struggle with food. Like, I can go eat that whole tray of cookies.
The humanization.
I still drink. I still, I'm very open with people about it. And I think that they connect with that better because as a coach, you're always put on a pedestal, right? You're always, and same thing, even like with Jason. I remember the first time I met Jason, I was like, oh my God, this is Jason Phillips. Right? Or like Todd, like, oh my God, this is Todd Durkin. Like, he trains Drew Brees. Like, he trained.
Yeah.
And then like sit back and they're just like, they're normal people like us. And they go through the same struggles and things like that. And I think our clients just connect with us because we do things like we had a pub crawl last year. Had nothing to do with fitness. We ugly sweater pub crawl, and it was like, bring your spouse over here. Yeah. There was so much fun. And like, I got in charge this year of planning like different things. Like, I'll do field trip workouts. My buddy owns an OCR gym in Irvine, bring people down, learn how to climb ropes, learn how to jump walls. Our last, we actually did one in LA. It's called Epic Series. We've won the largest team every time we've done this race. Like, we've been 50, 60 people deep at these races. You
got a squad everywhere you go, man. Dude, that's awesome.
I swear. So I get all these people to sign up, and it's obviously working out and things, but like people cheering on, like, because there's sometimes I have clients that work out 5 a.m., 5 p.m., never met each other before. They just see that they're each wearing Faster Fitness shirts. They're cheering each other on. Created friendships right there. We've created so many friendships and things that outside of fitness. And again, going back to the point is, people think they're coming in there for working out, for fitness, but what we're really going in there is for connection. Yeah. We're going in there to, again, you obviously want to feel better. That's a byproduct of doing all that too. And then after a while, like, people at our gym, I sit back sometimes and look, and I'm like, man, they never knew each other before they came here. Like, all these girls going out to dinner together, like, they didn't know each other before that. It could have been, I had clients go through divorce, like dark times, and she's like, the only reason I got through that was because of the girls here, like the support they gave me.
I think true happiness lies in community.
All the time. And weight loss, I always tell you, it's all a mindset. Right? I do nutrition coaching. That's what I love to do. It's all a mindset. If you think you're going to do it, you'll do it. But if you always doubt yourself and just like, no, you're not going to do it. Like, I keep failing. Right? Instead of, you know what? I messed up. I'm going to keep going though. I'm going to keep doing it. You'll get there eventually. Right? And that's the mindset I'm trying to breed onto people, because the more and more I get into nutrition coaching, it's all the same. Go on Google. You can Google that you need to be in a calorie deficit, that you need to eat more protein and vegetables, right? But when you can change your mindset around like food, around exercise, man, you open this big door for endless possibilities.
I always say that fitness is the gateway drug.
Yeah.
To like true happiness. I really do.
It's true.
Because that initial kind of feedback loop is so positive and so contagious. Like, I do A, I get B results typically. Some people, there are other factors going on for sure, but like, that's like, okay, wow, if I do this and move around, and I feel this kind of way, what else can I do to kind of get that same or similar result? And for me, I can't believe, where I am now, where I started off, in the gym, one-on-one, and then group, and then just my evolution progression of, it's very similar, how we begin one thing, and not where we end, because I'm not done. I don't know about you, but like where we are in that path is, I just look back sometimes and like, wow, like not so much like how did I get here, but it's just, it's cute. It's funny. Like, what we do now and kind of all the tools in our toolbox. It never was just this one thing. And it was never, let me just show up and see how I can, smoke this person, make them sore for days. That's how you start. But the rest of the journey is amazing, man.
Yeah. You literally start like where you are, wherever you're starting from. Like, that's where people get stuck. They assume like, this is it for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This place is it. Where that's why I love fitness so much, because you realize fitness people are the most positive people, right? We're always the ones posting motivation, things that, because we have that growth mindset to it, right? And I think people, when they actually get into fitness and they're doing fitness and not, just using it as a tool of punishment for, I ate bad this weekend, I need to go work out.
So important.
Where they're just like, no, I need to work out or else I'm going to go crazy in my head. And they realize, when I get back on track, everything else in my life becomes better too. And same thing as fitness professionals, if I went back to that point where I looked at myself in the mirror for the first time in 6 months, and I was crying. I never in a million years thought I would be this person, like with the mindset that I have right now, right? And the relationships that I have and the people that I've surrounded myself with. I never thought I would be at this point. And, I was just keep going, right? Like tell clients all the time, it's okay that you don't get to where you want to be right now. I still struggle with that. I look at other people who have nutrition businesses that are way bigger than mine, right? And sometimes I get in that mindset like, man, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? And then all of a sudden that voice is so much louder in my head now. Like, no, yes, you do. You're going to get there eventually. It may take you longer. I've taken the long route in a lot of things in my life, right? It's like
the learning route, we'll say.
Yeah, the learning route, right? When they tell you don't do this, I'm going to try it first. Let me try it. Let me burn myself first.
Which is good. Maybe, life is an experiment.
Maybe second time, let me burn myself, but eventually I'll get there. And the most progress I've seen with certain people is when they have that mindset, like, okay, this is forever. Like this isn't just 6 weeks. And we're going to shoot a video, Ivan and myself here. We like to do funny videos sometimes about like challenges and people who are all challenge or die. Like, hey, I'm doing my 50-second challenge this year already, right? And
I live my life in 21 days at a time.
so we stopped doing challenges. Like we have them. We had like a members one, but I don't even like to call it challenge anymore because it was focused around like people getting 10,000 steps every day, people hitting protein targets, hitting 4 workouts a week, things like that are going to transfer over to long-term success, right? Moving more throughout the day. We got rid of like 21-day fat loss, 14-day this, 21-day that. Like we got rid of those things.
I like that.
And almost we're like the anti-challenge gym, right?
You should run a challenge on how long your people can go without doing a challenge.
But it's funny because people just get caught up in that too, and I literally was having the conversation yesterday with clients, and I'm like, hey, well, so what are you gonna do? Because she's like, after she's like, I was doing really good, and then I started slacking off, and she's like, so I think we're gonna do another challenge, like our team, and I was like, so what are you gonna do when that one ends, right? You're just gonna go back, right? Yeah. I'm like, why don't you just keep going forward with it, right? And she's like, she looked at me, she's like, you're right.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah, right.
Yeah, and speaking of going forward, I mean, like we're going to kind of wrap things up here. That's the last question I ask everybody, and I'll tie it into kind of like it seems to be kind of working around the identity of fitness a little bit. So for me, like when I was, like I said, getting started and with you is fitness. That's how I'm going to like look better, feel better. That was the initial step. But then you realize as you progress forward in that journey that's just step one. There's so many things after that. And like you said, you have to tell your clients, you have to tell yourself it's not just A and B, it's C and D. Like it's one step leads to the next.
It's forever.
Absolutely. So how do you help other people do that? How do you do it? What does that mean to you? How do you live a life ever forward? What does that concept mean to you?
I think it's always progressing forward, right? No matter, again, I love that quote that you used. Slow success. Sometimes
you're succeeding so slowly it feels like you're failing.
Yeah, that it's always like you're always just trying to move forward, right? And that's what I always tell clients. It's okay that you messed up. Like that's fine. Let's keep going forward, right? Keep moving forward. What can you do now to improve your health, to improve your fitness, to get you to where you want to go? Whether that's just maybe it's drinking water every morning, right? And it's just always, that's been my mindset with my journey, always keep progressing. No matter how slow, how fast, I always want to be moving forward and not looking back, right? When I start looking backwards too much or you start looking around too much, call it tunnel vision, right? Put the blinders up, just look forward and keep moving forward. You will always live a healthier, happier life.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, think about it this way too. If you focus on the past, I mean, what do we do typically as a human being? We focus on like all the negative and like, oh, this happened and because of that, then this. But you kind of just begin to dwell, right? But when you look at the future, it's limitless possibility. Nothing has happened yet. So why not just choose to focus on that and then create that yourself?
And when you do progress too, what the beautiful part is when you start getting that mindset of I'm moving forward in my life is that you can reflect on who you were and how far you've come.
Yes,
right? When
yes,
you look
yes,
back, it should be a reflection of how far you've grown, not all the bad things that have happened to you, right? I don't look back on my story and say like, oh, poor me, poor me. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here right now. I had to go through dark times to find who I was, to find what I loved. I had to go through some journeys alone, some, hard times to get to where I was today. But I reflect now, I don't dwell, right? I reflect on who I was and where I am. And it's like, whew, man, I never in a million years thought I'd be this person. And I guarantee you 10 years from now, I'm going to look back and be like, holy shit, like that's crazy what I just did, right? And so reflection instead of dwelling, and always just moving forward with whatever you're doing in your life, and you'll live your healthiest, happiest life.
I believe it, man. I believe it. I'm a little biased, but hopefully the person listening to this, catches that and believes it as well. It's been great connecting with you, man. Thanks again for coming up here.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have all your information listed down in the show notes.
Cool.
Another local. It's been great. I've been really impressed, and I don't know, it's a surprise, but it's just been a warm welcome, open and receptive, like the local fitness community, the local health wellness community here, from gym owners, personal trainers and big box gyms, a lot of different things. It's been awesome, man. So,
we always say collaboration, not competition.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
man.
So
absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, brother.